When you stan K-pop long enough, you will always see a pattern, a repetition, a cycle in how it operates, structures, and functions that makes your brain automatically goes.
I think I've seen this film before.
As generations go by, being a K-pop fan is becoming a much harder hobby and will require us to be smarter, to learn from the past, and to apply it for the future. And for me, the best way we can learn and improve is to share our knowledge with each other and build our community up to be smarter and wider. That's why I made this video to share with you my 10 observations of K-pop patterns that I have noticed from my forever time of being a K-pop stan. This video is to not tell you to do or to not do something, but aims to encourage our community to think, to observe, and to engage with K-pop in a more nuanced way. Let's get started. Number 1, South Korea uses K-pop as their soft powers in a more evil way than you might think. If South Korea is in a big political scandal or any crisis happening, and your idol is one of the big names in the industry, be prepared that their name might appear all over the news for the next few weeks. If it's a scandal within the country only, the news will be bad, or at least shocking, such as exposing idols' dating news or aggravating minor scandals, or sometimes big scandals. But the point is to make it so dramatic, to divert Knet's attention towards it, and not the political scandals of politicians. For example, I don't deny that Hybe's trying to cover up Suga's drunk scooter driving scandal, ARMY trying to sugarcoat it, and Suga himself is a member of the famous BTS, were parts the reasons why the publics were so enraged and targeting him for that. But the way this was blown out of the proportions and even misled with fake information on the national channel of South Korea told me that something was up. And after doing some research, it's the infamous, mysterious death of an anti-corruption investigator when he tried digging into the First Lady of South Korea's abuse of power allegation at the moment. I don't want to get into the details, but there's definitely some connections there because I have played this game before. If it's an international scandal, or at least affects the country's image, the news will be good to paint a positive light on the country. Like right after the entire military law scandals from the president and plane crash at the beginning of this year, the comeback news of Blackpink and BTS in May and June were published right after that, even though there haven't been any confirmation. So yeah, K-pop is built and used as a soft power in South Korea like this for a long time. They are so Americanized that it makes me want to vomit. Oh my God. Number 2, the generic public doesn't like girl groups succeeding for more than 3 comebacks. If you are a fan of a girl group who's on their 3rd run of successful comeback and still haven't got any major hate train yet, buckle up and prepare for their 4th comeback because K-pop fans won't be comfortable with women's success for too long. If it's their first time, they're a monster rookie. Second time, they're on the rise. Third time, they reach their peak, or at least should have reached their peak, because if not, we should humble them and scrutinize everything they've done to bring them down. Let me give you some examples. Le Seraphim, just right after their Unforgiven trilogy, faced one of the biggest hate trains in K-pop during the Easy era. It all starts with valid criticism, of course, regarding their weak vocals during Encore, culture vulture, offending religion, and of course the Coachella performance. Until all of that criticism got blown out of the proportion into cyberbullying, death threats and rape threat that still haunt them till this day and damage their brand and mental health so badly. Blackpink is another one. After Square One, Square Two, and As If It's Your Last, Do was when they started really competing directly with BTS, and Twice, and when the long-lasting war and attack from fans started. But more importantly, Jennie releasing solo just in the same year was the official first start of how the Blink fandom became so divided and war-torn with solo stans, ArcGays, OT3, OT2, and so on. But I do think that Blackpink has become immune to it now, as they only come back after 1, 2, or 3 years. Thus, they were not really overexposed. The public tunes in and doesn't want to ruin the long-awaited return. There's still drama, negative criticisms, and controversies, but at the end of each era, they all come out positively overall. Speaking of exceptions, I want to give some more examples. Sometimes a girl group receives hate trains not because of irrational hate, but of how they shot themselves in the foot, like what Kiss of Life has done recently with their birthday livestream. Midas Touch was the hit that got them out of Nugadome, Sticky was so viral in South Korea, and Igloo was a global B-side hit. People were so tuned in for their fourth hit until they commit a career suicide. I've also got back-to-back hits with 11, Love Dive, Afterlife, and the duo Kitchen I Am, but the fourth comeback of Kitchen I Am was kinda peaceful and so successful because they already got a big hate train right at the debut already with the entire bad singing encores. So yeah, there are various exceptions and variables of these rules, but generally speaking, I can feel it so clearly. Number 3, always lower your expectations with YGs, or at least the Korean news announcement regarding their artists' comeback dates, especially with Blackpink. If it's in May, the comeback would probably be around June, July, or even August. If it's in the second quarter, it'd be in the third quarter. If it's by the end of the year, it'd be at the beginning of the next year. I have mastered the art of translating this type of announcement for years now, in order to not get my hopes up just to get disappointed, lol. Number 4. Black women and women of color carries K-pop's micro-trend. When there's a rising black or female artists of color in the West with unique sound or stype, be ready for many inspired versions of their sound coming from K-pop artists. We've seen it with Pink Pantheress and her UK garage, Tyla and her Afrobeats and Amapiano, Tinashe, Doja Cat. The list goes on and on. So Doechii, be prepared because you're up next. Number 5. 99% of K-pop CEOs are evil. Do not idolize any CEO. Sooner or later, they will all come out as corrupted and greedy capitalists or dangerous predators or Zionists. Bang Si-hyuk, Min Hee-jin, Yang Hyun-suk, Park Jin-young, Lee Soo-man, Jung-hoon Lee. Maybe some exceptions like the Blackpink girls who are the CEO of their own. The list goes on, and you can easily search up their scandals. That's why, when it's the scandal of idols versus the companies, 99% of the time, side with the idols because they have everything to lose, yet they still choose to fight back. Thus, there must have been a reason for that. The other 1% goes to the situation of their battle as just disguised from the actual fight between the CEOs themselves. Number 6 is the bloodbath seasons. There will always be 2 prime months of each year, one at the first half and one at the second half of the year, when the big names in the industry all release their music during that period that make it so stacked, make the competition so fierce, but also make us K-pop stans so excited. I often call it the bloodbath season. For example, this March we had Jennie, Seulgi, Yeji, J-Hope, LE SSERAFIM, NMIX, Stacy, Treasure. Last year we had May when Jennie, New Jeans, IVE, 17, RM, aespa, Treasure, ENHYPEN. Later of 2024 in October, we have Jennie, Lisa, Rosé, Kiss of Life, 17, ITZY, I-LIT, Jin, Stacy, Baby Monster. 2023 is also the same. In May, we had LE SSERAFIM, Idol, aespa, 17, and ENHYPEN. November also had aespa, Stray Kids, Jungkook, Zero Base One, Red Velvet, ENHYPEN, Baby Monster, the collab between Soyeon, Liz, and Winter. The same examples can be found in previous years, so you know what I mean. The 7th thing that I've learned when observing K-pop is that you cannot recycle a formula successfully for the 4th time, at least in terms of public perception. Let's take a look at Blackpink's YG formula. The OG hit that started this formula was Do 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 Do, with that fixed line distribution, hip-hop EDM fusion, girl crush concept, flexing lyrics, anti-drops, loud outros, you name it. Because it was so successful and still makes it the most viewed song by K-pop right now, of course we should reuse it for the 2nd time with Kill This Love. Also a banger and breaks many records, not just in Korea anymore, but also in the West, where they're preparing their Coachella performance. People were still fine with this structure because it establishes for them a strong identity and guarantees their success, especially when that comeback was waited for a year. The 3rd time was still very successful, with How You Like That, their most streamed song on Spotify, and the only song with both versions reaching billion views on YouTube. But after realizing this obvious formula, the public also started raising concerns of We love you for this formula, but you also need to level up and grow as an artist if you only come back once a year. But of course, YG couldn't risk the success of their once-in-a-lifetime comeback by evolving their artistry, so they copied it for the fourth time with Pink Venom. Still very successful within the first few months of release with their Billboard entry, first day stream or first day view, because they are Blackpink and Blinks will always eat up everything they release. But in the long run right now, you can see how her impact and success cannot be compared to her older sister. This was because the fandom can only take you thus far, but the general public saw so little growth in their identity. The nachos are old now and shouldn't be reheated anymore. For this comeback in June, I would not be surprised if they try to recycle it for the fifth time, just by looking how rushed they are executing it. And before anymore, you complain, why are you only focusing on hate on Blackpink? Just wait to see my next example of how you can't replicate a formula for the fourth time with Idol. After coming back from their hiatus and Soojin leaving due to scandal, all of their 4 title tracks after that have established for them an identity, a feminist and pro-women concept, anti-drops, Soyeon's Konglish that triggers people's xenophobia, no bridge and an all-singing outros. Tomboy, a hit that got them the highest perfect all-kill hours and didn't make them disband after such a huge scandal. Nude, a cultural reset that also reached perfect all-kill and flew them straight to the top to compete with the super rookies. Queen Card also reached perfect all-kill and solidified their position as a top group. Then finally we have Super Lady. While all have that signature style like her cousins and even the highest budget for the MVs, didn't perform well like them in terms of Spotify, YouTube, and Korean charts. It's partly due to the song's quality, but I would argue that it's also the song's message. Tomboy's about breaking gender norms in society. Nude's about addressing the sexualization of female idols in the industry, and Queen Card tackles the toxic body image in South Korea. All of these songs have a substantial message regarding women's hardship in society, while Super Lady is about being a strong, independent woman, blah blah. That's what we have seen so many times already in the 2000s. It doesn't have enough substance to revisit as a song, but I'd say it is their best song to perform at the concert and hype up the crowd. Anyway, my conclusion is, if it works the first time, it's original. The second time means you try to have an identity. The third time means there's a formula here. But the fourth time often comes off as lazy and uninspiring. Number 8. Do not expect that K-pop activism will ever go anywhere. From the Big Four Zionism boycott last year to the often "don't debut minors" that we have been screaming for years now, I have seen way too many failures to really see the reasons that lead to it. First is that K-pop fans will only care to move their finger if it involves their idols. How many times do you see girl group stans throw around the word "women support women," but a minute later, they cyberbully another girl group that is not their faves? I did, within the fandoms like Blinks, My, Onces, Bunnies, the list goes on. Feminism only works for their idols, and this, what I mean by not every white feminist is white. This lack of coordination and collaboration can also be found in last year's Big Four boycott due to Zionism. It was so scattered, messy, uncoordinated, no focus nor leadership, when why did it only happen for 5 days? The genocide is still continuing to this day, so I don't think 5 days would, will, or have ever done anything. The second reason is that they only care about witch hunts, which has 2 meanings. Firstly, the public will only hang the snooze around the neck of minorities, normally women, to burn them in front of the crowd and act like the problem has been solved. Meanwhile, the worst predators are still safe and hidden in the dark. For example, when discussing pedophilia in K-pop, the first one to be jumped and named for most of the time is Min Hee-jin. Meanwhile, other male CEOs have had similar allegations since the birth of the industry, like Yang Hyun-suk, with his lust for a 14-year-old idol in his company, who later became his wife. I don't like whataboutism in online spaces, but this is where I'd make the case for it because we should really tackle problems from the root. The second meaning is about how K-pop fans will only care to burn the predators alive, while not uplifting and hearing the voices of the victims. They only care about having a bad guy in the conversation to throw them into hell, while the victims were neglected or could only be heard when it's too late. How many people actually remember what the victims of Tae said, or do they only care about putting him in jail? Similar to the recent anti-black situations in K-pop, if you really want to address this problem properly, don't just cyberbully the idols into giving out an apology and then moving on accepting it. Hear what black people say first and uplift their voices. Number 9. There is a difference in Big 3 privilege and Big 4 privilege. With the rise of HYBE, many people nowadays have extended the term Big 3 to Big 4 when talking about how privileged the groups from these companies often are compared to the rest of the industry. Like a given strong popularity without releasing anything, more chance to perform at awards shows, high budget for their production, so on. But while HYBE is like the richest and biggest one, there's a difference that separates them from SM, JYP, and YG, which is the fact that they are new money, while the Big 3 is the old money that has been here since the first generation. They don't just have money, but also PR connections and political ties. For example, if the beef that NewJeans is having right now is with SM, they would not even have a chance to do this much independent activity as NJZ, and will automatically be blacklisted right when they decided to cut ties with the company. Another example would be how Perfect Night would win, or at least be nominated for Song of the Year, if Mama remained the old formula to decide the award winner, but instead, it was given to aespa's Supernova. I am not saying that Supernova doesn't deserve to win, but you have to admit there's some string pulled here. Number 10, last but not least, if you're a fan of a 4-member group, be prepared that they might have had a racism or racially sensitive scandal in the past, or they will commit one in the future. I have no explanation for this because it just happens with all of the groups that I've seen. Mamamoo's blackface, Blackpink's N-word, CL of Toonie1's N-word, Giselle of aespa's N-word, Hyolyn of Sistar N-word, BM of Card's N-word, Mino of Winner's N-word, Kiss of Life's whole stereotyping livestream. Yeah, it was that bad. So yeah, that's the end of the video. I actually have way more observations that I want to include, but I am too lazy, so I stop at 10 to see how this goes. Is there any take that you agree or disagree with? Is there any observation and pattern that you have also noticed as well as a K-pop fan? Please let me know down in the comment section because I really love this convo and want to keep it going. But for now, thank you and goodbye.